vessels. But to make a small diameter vessel, it can't be done. It can't be done out of Teflon. It can't be done out of Gore-Tex. It can be done in Philadelphia only. So I'll try to prove that. And the three-dimensional tissue scaffolds will be utilized for reparation of organs. And I don't have time to do any of the science justice, so I'll tell you about the business. I've been involved with skin and skin substitutes for the last 10 years, and I've been involved deeply because I'm a burn victim. And at the age of 10, I burned my leg to the bone. I was never supposed to walk again. So when I set track records in high school track in Pennsylvania, I knew that I had a lot to fight for, and I wanted to be a winner. And I took that over into this realm. If you look at any skin substitute on the market today, nobody has an available product without contamination. And here we come, and I'll tell you the technology is protein derived from a soybean. Soy protein isolate, pure protein at the nanofibers level. Our technique is to electrospin that protein into sheets of skin substitute. Now, anything else on the market is derived from porcine, cadaver, or synthetics that were grown in a bovine collagen mix. There is no protein, human skin substitute available. And when we bring it from a soybean, the cost of goods is incredibly low, unimaginably low. All right? So if I'm going to give you skin from a soybean, it also better work. And it does. So it's available at the point of care, and my vision is to have this available for our armed servicemen in battle. And it will be available for wound healing and for burns and first responders on ambulances. But it's available without a shelf life, contamination, storage, or handling issue of any kind. Recently we unveiled data in a rat model of wound healing. It was a full thickness wound, and the problem with rats is no matter what I do to them, they're going to heal. So we did a model of full thickness wound of our product versus Tegaderm, which I thought was the industry standard. We did a model where we put a metal ring around the wound to inadvertently keep it from closing, so that I could study the physiological healing underneath microscopically. And here's what I'm most excited about. The Tegaderm wound healed as a scar. What we found when I put an extracellular matrix of protein skin into the wound, it re-epithelialized the skin, meaning it grew real skin back without a scar, with hair follicles and sweat glands intact. Now, my scientist who invented this warned me deeply not to say what I just said, because to a scientist, if it happens once, it didn't happen. If it happens twice and I publish it, then it happened. So the animals are ordered, and studies begin November 15th at Temple University and Drexel University in Philadelphia, and hopefully I'll be publishing that in December or January. Once you read what I just said, it will revolutionize wound healing. If you've ever been to a wound healing meeting, it is a sea of sameness. 60,000 square feet of 3 products sold by 88 different companies. You got silver, you got your hydrocolloid dressings, and you got wet bandages. But you don't have innovation. So I need to prove what I just said because it was a bold statement. We are making an inexpensive, all-protein, wound-healing bio bandage that re-epithelializes skin. So wish me luck, and I don't want to use too many of my 15 minutes, but it's immediately available, and it's not from dead people or pigs anymore. We're pretty excited, as you can tell. The small diameter hybrid vessels are an electrospun modified polyurethane, and the magic of the patent is inherent and adjustable micro grooves that are built into the pattern. And what does that mean? It means that this product will not occlude like other small diameter vessels. They all glom up with thrombosis. So it's a bioactive. It's like splicing a garden hose, and my scientists would cringe, but that's my analogy. We recently unveiled data where we electrospun a blood vessel and put it into a fully functioning pig's heart, and it did not leak. It withheld the pressure, and at the end of the experiment, it was absolutely clean. and we built the same vessel out of Gore-Tex, and it was absolutely occluded. So what does this mean? It means that we can put blood vessels into patients whose lives will not be containing anticoagulation therapy for the rest of their lives. Okay? That's important, because this small diameter vessel can also be spun into nerve endings. Our attempt will be to get a sponsorship or a partner to develop nerve endings for spinal cord injuries, multiple sclerosis where the laminar sheathing is eroded. That's our goal with this. And it's fully patented, and the blood vessel absolutely grew its own intima within that vessel, and so the body regenerated a blood vessel. And it is probably the furthest out, the most heady science, and the biggest revenue producing product in our portfolio. The 3D matrices, highly patented. I can't do them justice in the time I have, nor do I have the scientific information. I'm a businessman who got thrown into this to commercialize these technologies. But it is a means for making a three-dimensional matrix from critical point drying, where we can actually utilize a matrix for research, drug development and toxicity, but also the commercial application will be to put in a specific progenitor-seeded or non-progenitor-seeded matrix into a damaged and wounded heart, lung, or kidney model. And also for research and development, we can use ES or ISP cells to make this a specific high-dimensional 3D matrix. A lot of people this morning said, wow, this science is really heady, but I don't think you'll ever make any money. And then 5 people said exactly why they'll never give us any more money, and how no one ever gets to commercialization. We've grown ears on the stomachs of mice, and I don't see a whole lot of commercial applications for those things. And we've done some pretty incredible science that won't lead to any money. What I talked about is re-epithelializing skin in a wound healing market where we have more and more diabetics, foot ulcers and decubitus ulcers with our aging population. And the ability to revolutionize wound healing has a commercial application as a 510K device that we would have a product on the market in 18 to 24 months to produce some real revenue. And that's the beauty of devices versus pharmaceuticals. And the number of diabetic patients is just growing by leaps and bounds. There's other things. A realistic approach. If you take that sheet of protein skin, paper thin that I told you about, once I hydrate it, it has elasticity and strength, but it's also pliable to whatever shape of wound I put it in. I know people who wound themselves and spend a lot of money called laser ablation. I don't want these wrinkles. My God, I refuse to get old. All right? So we have a 3-pronged approach. There's an intrinsic healing effect of the matrix as just a tissue to put on the faces of post-laser ablation patients. My first approach at deriving revenue to pay for the science of my blood vessels is to put a non-medical claim product on the market as a device, a consumer product to put on as a patch after laser ablation. The man or woman sleeps at night, the skin rejuvenates, it heals 30% faster with greater elasticity of the skin. Here's what we're doing to ourselves. Since 1979, it's up about 400%. The other numbers are all from last year. Over 12 million procedures to look beautiful. And I wish it weren't true, but we will probably make more money from beauty than therapy. But it's a real fast way to get to market to pay for my science. And I won't dwell on that, but the baby boomers will put this product on the market. The first tranche will be a consumer product for beauty to heal after laser. The second iteration will be wound healing, bioburden strips for burns and our soldiers and patients who need them. And after that, I can take those thin layers of skin and do a full PMA and impregnate them with therapeutics. So you take the same patch and go to bed at night, and you cure fine line wrinkles, acne, rosacea. So this skin's applicability to commercial applications and making money, I think, is revolutionary based on everyone else talking science and how we're going to pay for it all day long. I wish I wouldn't have lost them all. The other thing is, you take the small diameter vessels and we can make nerve endings for spinal cord injuries. We can make blood vessels for peripheral artery disease. We also have the ability to spin them into renal shunts. There's $1.5 billion each year spent to clear renal shunts that occlude during hemodialysis patients. So if we made a fully functional renal shunt or a blood vessel that didn't occlude, we think these are multi-billion-dollar markets, and we intend to be in them. So the business model is very stingy, very brilliant, very matter-of-fact. I would like to take all three of these technologies through in parallel. I won't wait for $8 to $10 million. Once we have $1 million in the market, in the bank, we will go to the clinic to develop skin. We're going to focus on the revenue from the consumer products. In 30 years, I've seen the same model. Every time a company gets capitalized, they do three things. They build a laboratory and spend money. They build an office so I can go visit them and they spend money. Then they make big salaries. None of that's going on, and I'm going to keep the company virtual as long as possible. And we're looking for our sponsored research agreement with Temple University puts all my laboratory R&D inside of academia to save costs. I'm looking for co-development partnerships to help me co-develop by indication. Wound healing, cardiovascular, neurology, and organ regeneration. And then all of the inventors who invented the technologies that we licensed are on board as consultants for the company. So I'm going to keep the virtual model going as long as possible because it just makes fiscal sense. I've been in the game since dirt, or at least since the first truckload was dumped. So it's not my first rodeo. I've surrounded myself by Peter Lelkes at Drexel University. He's the inventor of all three of my technologies, and he's on board around the clock, just like me. We've also gone out and gotten 2 scientific advisory board members, Mitch Goldman, right up the street, who demands I buy him lunch. He's in La Jolla. He invented laser ablation, I believe, or at least he makes a lot of money acting like he did. Dr. Gold is a aesthetic dermatologist at the Gold Skin Center in Vanderbilt in Nashville. They're going to advise me on product placement, hopefully looking for some partnerships in beauty and cosmetics. But I'm out seeking partnerships in science and pharmaceuticals and technology. But I have a good team. Just one more time telling you that we're going to play it straight. We're going to be fiscally responsible by developing the skin first. Long term, we're going to develop the cardiovascular, the nerves, the organ repair. Tell you a little bit of what we've done so far. We've licensed everything out of Penn, Drexel, and CHOP out of Philadelphia. The consulting agreements are with all the inventors. We've done friends and family. We've got our website. Our website just went live June 1st. And this is the first time I've told our story to anyone. And we've appointed our scientific advisory board. The sponsored research agreement with Temple, they are my R&D arm. That was signed last week. We're applying for an NIH fast track grant for phases 1 and 2 on the skin. That's due December 5th. What we need to do is validate all the bragging I did about that reepithelialization of skin, and that starts November 15th. When I raise $1 million, we take R&D seriously with the skin, and I'm not going to wait until we raise $5 to $8 million. My goal is to raise $5 to $8 million so that I can take all three technologies through in parallel. The risk I run is that if I'm not asking for $50 million, no one takes me seriously. Brutal honesty from a non-scientist. When I ask for $1 million, I know I spent more than that on a launch meeting at Hoffman LaRoche, but things are different. And I don't want to dilute the early investors who believed in me. So we have some technology. I think it's a good strategy. And people told me never use revolutionary or game changer or paradigm shift. So with this revolutionary technology, I believe we have a game changer that will shift all the paradigms you've heard about all day. And I really appreciate you staying awake for my presentation. Thank you.